He was a genius with a ball at his feet, an entertainer, a maverick, a man who made football look like poetry. Paul John Gascoigne, or Gazza to the world, captured the hearts of a nation with his fearless flair, cheeky charm, and unforgettable tears at Italia 90. But behind the dazzling goals and crowd-pleasing antics lay a darker story, a life haunted by addiction, mental health struggles, and personal tragedy. From lighting up the World Cup, Premier League and Serie A, to battling demons that threatened to consume him, Gascoigne's journey is as heartbreaking as it is iconic. This is the story of a footballing genius who flew too close to the sun, and the fragile man behind the legend. Welcome to the incredible highs and lows of Paul Gascoigne's life. Gascoigne was born in Gateshead, County Durham on 27th of May 1967. He was named Paul John in tribute to Paul McCartney and John Lennon of the Beatles. From an early age, Gazza loved football, but he didn't just love it, he had a remarkable talent for it. Me, I was kicking a tennis ball around when I was 3. Then my dad bought us a football when I was 7. I loved it. I kicked that thing for hours and hours. I was obsessed. It seemed to stick to my feet. I was 8 and playing against 12-year-olds and seemed to be beating them for fun. He began attracting the attention of football scouts whilst playing for his local school team, Gateshead Boys. Gazza had trials for Ipswich Town, Southampton and Middlesbrough, but he was unsuccessful. It was finally his boyhood club, Newcastle United, that signed him as a schoolboy at the age of 13 before he became an apprentice at 16. Newcastle scout Brian Clark spoke about seeing Gazza for the first time. I was supposed to be watching a kid called Keith Spraggan for Newcastle, but the one who caught my attention was a dumpy little midfielder, Paul Gascoigne. The heavens opened, the rain came down, and there he was. The sky was rent in two when Paul touched the ball. He was a genius. But as he soared in his young football career, his personal life was already showing cracks. Before moving on, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. I upload a new football-related video every 2 weeks. Consider watching my now completed Euro and World Cup series as well. Thanks for watching. At 10 years old, Gascoigne witnessed a life-changing moment. He saw his friend Stephen Spraggan killed in a traffic incident. I was only 10. We went in the shop. Then we ran out of the shop, and he was ahead of me by about a yard, and a car hit him. It was horrific. I ran down the street, knelt down on my knees, and put him on my lap. I seen his lips moving. That was his last movement. He passed away. I was on my own with him for what seemed like ages. It was the first dead body I'd ever seen, and I felt Stephen's death was my fault. I still go over the accident in my mind. Just speaking of it can make me cry. Gascoigne began to develop obsessions, twitches, and an addiction to gaming machines. He was spending all his money on them. He resorted to shoplifting to fuel his addiction. Despite all the turmoil off the pitch, Gascoigne was very successful on the pitch. He led Newcastle to the FA Youth Cup in the 1984-85 season by scoring twice in a 4-1 win over Watford in the final. He then started playing for the first team in 1985 under manager Jack Charlton. At the age of 18, Newcastle signed him to a 2-year professional contract. In his first full season as a professional, Gascoigne scored an impressive 9 goals in 35 games, helping Newcastle finish 11th in the First Division. Gascoigne was showing remarkable abilities as a teenager. He was playing in an attacking midfielder position and, with a combination of high skills in dribbling, passing and shooting, was controlling the game for Newcastle. This led to him being named PFA Young Player of the Year and being named in the PFA Team of the Year in the 1987-88 season. The football pitch was where Gascoigne was happiest and provided escapism from his personal life woes. I didn't have twitches or worry about death when I was playing football. Despite his brilliant performances, Newcastle was still a club in turmoil financially. They were letting their best players go to ease their problems and were struggling on the pitch as a result. Gazza would later say on deciding to leave Newcastle, "I knew they were struggling money-wise, and I did not really want to leave. but when Peter Beardsley went, I was devastated. The favourites to sign Gascoigne were Alex Ferguson and Manchester United. Gazza agreed to the move, and Fergie went on holiday believing the deal to be complete. But in the 11th hour, Tottenham came in with a British record transfer fee of £2.2 million. Ferguson was shocked and furious that Tottenham had gotten Gascoigne instead. I got a phone call from the front desk from Martin Edwards saying he'd signed for Tottenham. He signed for Tottenham because they bought his mother a house for £80,000 and, dearie me, I couldn't believe it, you know? He was a fantastic player. Chris Waddle, who played for Tottenham, spoke about his influence on Gazza's decision to sign for Spurs. I said, "Why don't you come to Spurs?" I told him he could get lost in London and no one would find out half the stuff he'd do. If he moved to United, he'd have Alex Ferguson on his case all of the time, along with some senior players. Gascoigne's years at Tottenham were probably the best of his entire career. Under Terry Venables' management, Tottenham finished 6th in the league. Gazza scored 7 goals in 37 games. He earned his first cap for England against Denmark in 1988 as well. In his second season with Tottenham, they finished 3rd in the league, which helped him earn a spot in England's 1990 World Cup squad. It was in Italia 90 where Gascoigne arguably reached the peak of his career. Gazza would go on to light up the World Cup with several dazzling performances. The 23-year-old became England's creative heartbeat. In the group stage, he provided the key assist for Mark Wright's winner against Egypt. In the knockout rounds, Gascoigne was electric. He provided the assist for David Platt against Belgium in the second round. He provided 2 more against Cameroon in the quarter-finals. But it was the semi-finals against West Germany that cemented his legacy. Gascoigne dictated much of the game with his incisive planning and fearless running. However, after a foul on Thomas Berthold, he received a yellow card that would have ruled him out of the final. Realizing this, he burst into tears on the pitch, an iconic image that captured hearts across England. Gascoigne would later describe the moment. "When I was a young kid playing at my youth club, every night I used to dream about playing football at the World Cup. I lived that dream in Italy, but when I was shown the yellow card, I knew it had come to an end. Suddenly, I can't hear anything. My eyes follow his hand, to the pocket, then out with the card. I looked at the crowd, I looked at Lineker, and I couldn't hold it back." Though England ultimately lost on penalties, Gascoigne's fearless and emotional performances made him the tournament's breakout star. His blend of brilliance and vulnerability resonated with fans, and Gazza became a cultural phenomenon almost overnight. Italia 90 marked both the making of a footballing icon and the start of immense personal pressures. He would later describe his relationship with the British media. "I enjoyed the fame and the money coming in, but I didn't like people following around my parents and all the lies that were told about me. In England, they build you up to knock you down." For a more detailed breakdown of Gascoigne's performances at Italia 90, consider watching my 1990 World Cup video. I'll drop a link in the description below. Thank you. The 1990-91 season would be the best of Gascoigne's career. He was in his prime and had added goals to his creative ability. He would go on to score 19 goals in 37 games. Tottenham would only finish 10th in the league, but it's his FA Cup exploits that would make him a club legend. He scored 6 goals in the FA Cup, the most important of which would come in the semi-finals against arch-rivals Arsenal. Tottenham won a free kick 35 yards out from goal. As Gascoigne stepped up to the ball, Barry Davies's iconic commentary best described the goal. "Is Gascoigne gonna have a crack? He is, you know. Oh, I say, brilliant. That is schoolboy's own stuff. Oh, I bet even he can't believe it. Is there anything left from this man to surprise us?" Gazza had struck a powerful curling free kick into the far corner just 5 minutes into the game to give them the lead. Gazza later gave his thoughts on the free kick. "I didn't know what to do with it, but then Gary Mabbott came up and said, 'Have a shot. I used to practice those kicks when I was little. I've caught it absolutely perfectly and it flew in the top corner. Tottenham would go on to win the game 3-1 and book a place in the final against Nottingham Forest. Unfortunately, despite their incredible season, Tottenham found themselves in a dire financial situation. They were £10 million in debt, a significant sum at the time, and were looking to sell players. Amazingly, Gascoigne was top of the list. Tottenham had agreed an £8.5 million fee with Lazio before the FA Cup final. Just 15 minutes into the final, Gascoigne committed a dangerous knee-high challenge on Forest player Gary Charles, which ruptured his own cruciate ligaments on his right knee. Gazza was stretchered off the field. Tottenham won the game 2-1 in extra time. But Gascoigne would miss the entire 1991-92 season, and his move to Lazio was off. Nobody knew it then, but Gascoigne would never quite be the same again. That tackle became one of the greatest regrets in his career. I remember Charles coming down the right, he recalls. His touch brought him inside, and I was off balance. I tried to get a good challenge on him to let him know he was in a game. When I see the tackle, I cringe myself. Despite being injured, the rumoured transfer to Lazio dominated headlines while he was out of the game. He would eventually complete a £5.5 million move in 1992. He received a £2 million signing-on fee and a £22,000 a week contract. He never fulfilled his potential at Lazio. He only played 47 games in 3 seasons and scored just 6 goals. His time at Lazio was mired in controversy. He allegedly greeted club owner Sergio Cragnotti by saying, "Tua figlia grande tette," which essentially meant, "Your daughter, big tits." Gazza punched photographer Lino Nanni after taking pictures of him with a blonde woman. He received a 3-month suspended prison sentence. Despite all this, Lazio fans still loved him. His highlight for the club came against their rivals, Roma. He scored in the 89th minute to equalise against them. Manager Dino Zoff best sums up his time at Lazio. He was a lovely boy, lovely, such a heart, but a troubled boy. He ate ice cream for breakfast, he drank beer for lunch, but a player, oh, beautiful, beautiful. In the summer of 1995, Rangers provided Gascoigne with a way out of Lazio. Rangers paid a club record £4.3 million fee with wages of £15,000 a week. Gazza had a resurgence in Scottish football. He scored 19 goals in 42 games in his first full season. The most memorable was a wonderful solo goal against bitter rivals Celtic. He also scored a hat-trick to secure the league title. All of this meant Gascoigne was in great form before Euro 96, a tournament that was held in England. But before the tournament, Gazza was embroiled in controversy when he and other members of the squad were caught getting drunk with a drinking game called the dentist chair. The media focused their criticism on Gazza with headlines such as "Drunk Oaf with no pride." Gascoigne would later say of the controversy, "I was first in the chair because it looked like a laugh. Then a few of the other lads did it. It was good for team spirit." The media attacks seemed to unite the squad and motivate Gascoigne, who had the last great tournament of his career. Gascoigne lit up Euro 96 with a mix of flair, genius and drama that defined England's journey. He played a key role in England's group stage campaign, particularly in the iconic 2-0 win over Scotland. After David Seaman saved Gary McAllister's penalty, Gascoigne sealed the game with one of the tournament's greatest goals, flicking the ball over Colin Hendry before smashing a volley past Andy Gorham. His audacious celebration, lying on the turf as teammates squirted water into his mouth in the now famous dentist chair pose, became a symbol of England's confidence and swagger. Gascoigne was instrumental again in the 4-1 demolition of the Netherlands, pulling strings in midfield and setting up goals with incisive passing and vision. England reached the semi-finals, where they faced Germany. In extra time, Gascoigne came inches from scoring a golden goal, narrowly missing Alan Shearer's cross by a stud's length. Gascoigne later recalled, "I ran forward to try and get it, but checked myself when I saw the keeper coming out for it. Because I hesitated, I missed it by inches. I was really sick. England lost on penalties, but Gascoigne's performances, full of creativity, grit and emotion, cemented his status as a national icon. Euro 96 was Gazza's last great hurrah on the global stage. For a more detailed breakdown of Euro 96, consider watching my Euro 96 video. I'll put a link in the description below. Gascoigne had another excellent season for Rangers in 96 to 97, scoring 17 goals in 34 games, helping Rangers to win another league title. But this was the final time he would reach such heights. The 97 to 98 season saw him score just 3 times in 28 games, all of which led to his exclusion from Glenn Hoddle's England squad for the 1998 World Cup. Before the team announcement, Gascoigne went out partying and got drunk. Gazza later admitted, "Yes, I was drunk. I got drunk quite quickly. I'd not had a drink in 9 days." He also recounted his reaction to the decision. "I completely lost it. I went mad, berserk. I lost my rag big time. I was shouting and swearing. I couldn't believe the injustice of it. I gashed my knee as I kicked the door. I was crying and out of control. I didn't want to talk to anybody." The rest of Gascoigne's career fizzled out. He had spells with Middlesbrough, Everton, Burnley, Gansu Tianma, and Boston United. He played a total of 101 games, but managed only 7 goals. As his form deteriorated, his personal life continued to spiral out of control. He was diagnosed with manic depression and bipolar disorder in 2001. He was also diagnosed with extreme paranoia, but it turned out his paranoia was justified. Gazza had been one of the victims of the News of the World phone hacking scandal. A journalist for the paper later admitted, "The guy ends up diagnosed with extreme paranoia when the reality was, it wasn't paranoia. It was genuinely true. We put the paranoia there." In 2010, Gazza was part of a surreal moment when he showed up at the Raoul Moat police standoff with fishing equipment, claiming to know the gunman. He had a string of stints in rehab sessions battling his demons. In an interview with the High Performance podcast last year, he described the current state of his life. "I used to be a happy drunk. I ain't anymore. I'm a sad drunk. If there was anyone I let down, it was myself. But more the drinking side of it when I finished playing." That was the highs and lows of Paul Gascoigne. I upload a new video every 2 weeks. So if you'd like to learn more, consider subscribing. Thanks for watching.